It's one step closer to rock glory as I share with you what I've done at Linkin Park Sydney over the weekend that left me feeling numb, about to faint. Because in the end, it really does matter. Welcome everyone, Brendan the Blind Guy here, and welcome to the Boombox.
Just give me that. Boom, boom, boom. Just give me that. Boom, boom. Just give me that.
So heaps to cover in today's episode, but most importantly, how this blind guy got to hug Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, where he gave me this incredible hat signed by the entire band.
Everything you say to me takes me one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break.
Okay, so talking about, of course, the recent Linkin Park From Zero Australia tour. Now, the band did have to sadly cancel their Adelaide show that was scheduled for last Thursday, the 12th of March, due to female lead singer Emily Armstrong being way too sick. So that's really sad. However, us in Sydney still got the great Linkin Park glory. First of all, I hope everyone knows that the Linkin Park pop-up store came to Sydney in Camperdown starting from Friday going till Monday. Now, this lucky guy was lucky enough to go to the pop-up store Saturday before going to the first night of 2 Sydney shows, and as I got to the pop-up store, my mind is blown because founding member and DJ Mr. Johan was there, just on a whim, not scheduled, saying hi to fans. So that was just like, oh my god, incredible. So thank you so much, Joe. It was beyond a pleasure meeting you if you're watching this. Now, as for the 2 Sydney shows on Saturday the 14th and Sunday the 15th. So on Saturday the 14th, there was a massive mix of songs, and it did focus a lot on their older stuff, probably 2 more compared to the Sunday. However, I could tell that Emily was struggling vocally. Don't get me wrong, she still killed it, and it was incredible. But so some of her screams wasn't as powerful as you would expect as they are in the recording. You know, this is just me being really analytical. You know, there was a few scream moments where she had to pull back or get the crowd to do that, which, you know, understandable when she was on stage constantly having throat lozenges, a cup of tea, and some kind of medicine in a flask. I really can't imagine she was having alcohol in that flask, but you know, whatever. But still, she killed it, and the set was incredible. Good, as I said, good mix of old and new, and really did highlight the old. Now, on Sunday, however, there was still a lot of old tracks, but was a different mix. So for people like me who went to the first show, it wasn't the exact same show. It was the same focus. Of course, it was an incredible high-energy Linkin Park show. However, it had 4 or 5 different songs to keep things fresh. And I tell you, the mosh on Sunday was absolutely brutal, so much more than the Saturday, which was actually really surprising. Now, another thing, if Emily had to pull back and lower things a little bit on Saturday, nah. She belted it out 110%, and it was really like she wasn't trying to replace Chester. The way me and my friends imagining it and hearing it was almost like she was singing along to Chester. Don't get me wrong, there was no backing track. It wasn't like there was actually a backing track with Chester, no. But it was like she was there belting out the tunes with Chester. So she really, really did him proud, I thought, and was absolutely incredible. Well done, Emily. Now, the cherry on top of the cake. Each show on the Australian tour, at least, about halfway during the set, Mike Shinoda came off the stage and went up to someone in the front row to say hi to them, ask what their name is, and give them a present signed by the band. Now on Sunday, that lucky person was me. Like, here I am, just going wild, having the time of my life. Then all of a sudden my friend's saying, "Mike's here!" And Mike's hugging me with his arm around me, saying, "Look mate, I saw you rocking out, like going wild, and I had to come down and say hi to you." And I'm just like, oh my God, I love you mate, you're my absolute hero. Which is true, I've got a Linkin Park tattoo. They were the first band I ever got into and mean so much to me. And then as Mike's saying, "What's your name?" And then he's like, "Okay, well I have a present for you. Here's a hat signed by the entire band. Check it out." So, oh my God, it was one of the best nights of my entire life. Thank you so much, Mike. In other news, sadly, another festival is axed in the current touring crisis climate in Australia here. You probably heard, but sadly, Australia's premier blues and rock festival, Bluesfest, has had to cancel this year, which is absolutely devastating and will have rippling effects in the Australian music scene and international touring schedules. Definitely would love to hear your thoughts on, getting your money back if you purchase tickets, because apparently that's really difficult at the moment. And, what you were looking for. If you had any doubts or concerns, please let me know in the comments section.
This morning, Live Nation is the one settling its bad blood with the Department of Justice. The parent company of Ticketmaster had been accused of having an illegal monopoly with control over every aspect of the concert business, from artists to venues to tickets.
So Live Nation and Ticketmaster have been under scrutiny, I guess you could say, and under investigation for potentially ripping off fans, artists, venues, etc. And recently, documents were released of Live Nation ticketing directors in an email conversation boasting about robbing consumers blind with high fees. Like, there was an email where one of them said, "I almost feel bad for taking advantage of them." And then the next message was all in capitals, "Bah ha 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 ha." So yeah, that's absolutely disgusting.
Live Nation says it's also created a $280 million settlement fund for damages. Writing in a statement, "We are putting more power where it should be, with artists and fans," though it's unclear who will see any of that money. Scrutiny of the company reached a fever pitch in 2022 after that meltdown with ticket sales for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour.
I've been in this queue for over 3.5 hours and I have not moved.
And other pricing problems have continued, from Bruce Springsteen's new tour
Prices are $700 and up for the cheap seats
to Harry Styles' Madison Square Garden residency.
Why are they so expensive?
And the fight is not over yet.
Walk alone, oh my brother, you don't have to follow in your bloodline.
Okay, and finally, Alex Warren has announced that he will be returning to Australia this August, which I'm very keen for. And this time he is upgrading his venue capacity and hitting some massive arenas. So you can check out all of the juicy details in the link in the description below. And until next time, keep a keen eye for concerts and bring on the boom!
Just give me